You know the name, right? HSBC. For more than 150 years, that name has been a massive pillar of global finance, like a bridge dictating how money moves between East and West. It's a brand built on prestige, power, and trust. But what if I told you that beneath that polished surface, there's a story that's, well, it's a whole lot darker?
Yeah, we're talking about a bank whose foundations were literally soaked in blood and built on the fumes of the drug trade. So how on earth did one of the world's most respected financial institutions become the ultimate cartel bank? Okay, let's get into it. To really get this, we've got to go way back. And I mean all the way back to the beginning. Because this story doesn't start in some slick modern boardroom. Nope, it starts in the heart of the 19th century narcotics trade.
So picture this. It's 1865. A Scotsman, Sir Thomas Sutherland, he's looking at the British Empire's moves in Asia and sees a huge opportunity. And he realized the real money, the engine of this whole thing, wasn't going to be tea or silk. No, it was opium. And by focusing on that, HSBC rocketed to the top, becoming the undisputed financial master of the Asian coast by the early 1900s.
And this right here, this tells you everything you need to know about why it was created. The bank was founded specifically to handle the money from the devastating trade that came after the Opium Wars. I mean, you can think of it as the central bank, the treasury, for every merchant flooding China with narcotics. Its first pile of cash was built on the profits of that business.
If you want to wrap your head around this, think about the robber barons back in the day on Wall Street. HSBC was playing the exact same game. It knew that if it could be the first to get huge in the totally lawless opium trade, it would have all the capital and all the best people locked down. It was just ruthless, calculated efficiency from day one.
So, with that foundation, a foundation literally built on the drug trade, HSBC was ready to go global. It started morphing from this regional powerhouse into an absolute global money machine.
And through the 20th century, its growth was just insane, totally explosive. It was gobbling up rivals like Midland Bank over in the UK through hostile takeovers. It basically copied the playbook of American giants like JP Morgan and Citibank, building a fortress of power in every financial center on the planet and serving the super rich.
But here's the thing. When you get that big, that fast, problems start to creep in. A really dangerous culture started to take root. A culture where all that mattered were the short-term numbers, profit, growth, and ethics, legality, that all kind of went out the window.
And this quote from inside the bank, it just says it all, doesn't it? It shows this cold-blooded mindset where if a business line was making enough money, nobody dared to question it. It's that exact thinking that laid the groundwork for the absolute disaster that was about to unfold.
And that brings us right to the heart of our story. Section 3, the cartel's bank. This is where that shiny corporate image gets shattered into a million pieces. So fast forward to the early 2000s. Investigators start digging, and what they find is just shocking. The bank's entire Mexican operation had basically become a laundromat, a black box, if you will, for the infamous Sinaloa Cartel. Yeah, that's Sinaloa Cartel. The bank's systems weren't just weak, they were completely taken over by some of the most dangerous criminals in the world.
So you're probably wondering, how did this even work? Well, the scheme was unbelievably bold. Get this. The traffickers had these specially made boxes designed to perfectly fit stacks of cash through the teller windows. From there, hundreds of billions of dollars in dirty money just poured into HSBC accounts, and then poof, it would disappear into this maze of shell companies in places like Panama. At the end of the day, what we're looking at here is a complete, catastrophic failure of the bank's most basic responsibilities. Risk management, compliance, basic integrity, it all just fell apart, making them the bank of choice for one of the deadliest cartels on the planet.
Look, something this big, this blatant, it can't stay buried forever. Eventually, the pressure from Washington got to be too much. It was time to pay the piper, and that came in the form of a fine that broke all the records.
And in 2012, the hammer came down, a fine of $1.9 billion. Just let that sink in for a second. It was a record breaker, a number so huge it was supposed to send a message about just how massive this whole scandal really was.
But here's the twist. The bank itself, as an institution, never faced criminal charges. Instead, they got something called a deferred prosecution agreement. So what exactly is that? Well, think of it like a deal with the government. The company says, okay, we admit we did it, we'll pay this huge fine, and we promise to clean up our act.
And in return, they get to avoid a criminal conviction that could literally shut them down for good.
So, what was the final score? Well, it's complicated. The bank made it through, yeah, but its reputation was absolutely destroyed, just dragged through the mud in headlines all over the world. It was a massive financial penalty for sure, but a lot of people were left wondering if justice was really served.
And that brings us to today. And it brings us to this massive question that looms over all of modern finance. Are some institutions just too big to fail?
I mean, think about it. After one of the biggest scandals you could possibly imagine, HSBC is still one of the most powerful financial giants on the planet. We're talking trillions in assets, global influence, and a footprint on every single continent.
And this really brings the whole story full circle, doesn't it? It started in the opium fields of the East, and today, it's a global titan, perfectly positioned between the economic giants of the East and the West. Its unique and powerful place in the world just endures.
There's this saying that just seems to nail the HSBC story. It's been through wars, financial collapses, and just colossal betrayals of its own mission. And yet, it's still here. It kind of proves that in this high-stakes generational game of finance, the house always seems to find a way to win.
Which leaves us with this one nagging question. A question that really we should all be asking about our financial system. When it comes right down to it, if a bank is truly too big to fail, does that also mean it's too big to jail?